Hey there, it's Mark from Third Shot Sports along with... And you know what? We're coming out of pandemic times and you might be playing some singles pickleball. Do you know how to play singles pickleball?
No, I don't know what it is.
That's gross. So we made a video to help you play better singles, and guess who picked the music? That's right, she picked the music. So, enjoy. All right, the first thing you're gonna need to know is how do you keep score in singles? Well, just like in doubles pickleball, you only earn a point when you're serving. If you have a rally and you go on to win that rally, but your opponent was serving, well, you get the ball, it's a side out, but you don't actually score a point. See? It's just like doubles. Okay, here's something new. Which side you serve from is totally dependent on how many points you have. Remember, the right side of the court is considered the even side, and the left side is the odd. So if you have an even number of points, you serve from the right. And if you've got an odd number of points, you serve from the left. And since you have no partner, there's no first server or second server business. Once you lose the rally when you're serving, it's a side out right away. Games go to 11 and you gotta win by 2. Okay, so now that you know how to score, let's move on and talk strategy. The first thing you need to know about singles strategy is that while it draws on a lot of the same tactics you see in doubles, there are some things that are unique. So if you're usually a doubles player, you can use some familiar patterns of play, but there's different ones too. Let's start at the start. Just like when you play doubles, in singles you want to return, serve, and run to the net. And why is that? Well, it's because when you're up at the net and your opponent's hitting their shot, you're a threat. At least you can be a threat. Since you're closer to your opponent than you would be if you were back at the baseline, you can intercept the ball sooner, and that gives them less time to react. From up near the kitchen line, you can also use sharper angles than you could if you were at the back of the court, and that's a great way to make your opponents run. But here's the thing. Because you've got to cover the whole court by yourself, you're also more vulnerable at the net than you are in doubles when you've got a partner who's patrolling their side of the court. In singles, it's all on you. So what does this mean? Well, this means that you better hit a pretty good return. And let's talk about what exactly that looks like. In doubles, depth is usually the name of the game when it comes to the return. But in singles, a deep return that's down the middle of the court can still get you in trouble. So one of the really important differences in singles is that when you hit the return of serve, the priority isn't about returning it deep, but it's about making it difficult for your opponent to hit a good third shot. And there's 2 important ways to do this. First, if your opponent has a weaker side, which is often the backhand, it can be worth its weight in gold to make them hit this shot. But that means that you've got to hit your return near the sideline, and you better do it with some speed. Because if you hit too much in the middle of the court, or if you hit near the sideline but it's too slow, your opponent might have enough time to run around their weakness and use their strength. So if you want to play singles well, you've got to take some risk when you're hitting your return. You got to get it near that sideline, and you got to get it there pretty quickly. And this is one of the reasons why you see in singles a lot more returns of serve end up out of bounds. It's because the players know that they have to take more risk than they do in doubles. There's a second way that you can make it harder for your opponents to hit a good third shot, and that's by making them run. And while you could make them run to their weaker side, if they really like to protect that side, you might want to hit at their strength. And while it's not impossible that they're going to hit a great third shot while on a run, it sure is a lot tougher. Okay, so now that we've talked about the return of serve, it's time to talk about the other side of the coin, the serve itself. When you're serving in singles, the mindset should typically be to try to create an easy third shot for yourself. And that means you better make it tough for the returner to do exactly what they want with the ball. That is, they're trying to put you in trouble, and so your serve should be the kind of serve that makes it difficult for them to do that. But how do you do that? If you just gently put your serve in play, the chances are very good that it's not going to challenge your opponents. Instead, you should try to make them play a poor return of serve. Make them hit a ball that's tougher for them to do exactly what they want. And this could be by exposing their weaknesses. It could be by hitting the serve fast. You could pull them off the court. Even just sending the serve very deep could make it a bit tougher for them because the timing is more difficult and they're going to have farther to run to get to the net. Just like the return of serve, serves in singles tend to be more aggressive than serves in doubles, which is one of the reasons that you'll sometimes see more errors. Okay, so we've covered the first two shots, the serve and the return. Let's talk about the third shot. What kind of third shot you hit depends on two things: how well set up you are for the ball, and how well positioned your opponent is. Generally speaking, the preference on the third shot is to drive the ball down one sideline or another. This is a chance to take advantage of the fact that your opponent has to cover a lot of ground all by themselves. If you're well set up to drive the ball and to cause trouble for your opponent, then you should just rip it. If you're not well set up, then things change. If it's going to be unlikely that you can hit a clean winner, and since you're reaching for the ball as you hit it, there's a good chance that your opponent, assuming that they're at the net of course, will have an easy open court volley. In this case, if you're not willing to go for the all or nothing winner, you might want to play a drop, which won't win you the point outright, but might give you time to get back in the play. Of course, if you do play a successful drop, now you've really got your work cut out for you. One-on-one dinking battles can be fun and exciting, but they're also exhausting. But if you're confident that you can outlast your opponent, inviting this kind of play makes a lot of sense. But you better be prepared to hustle. Finally, I should mention that the lob is a third shot option. You very rarely see this at high levels because the players move so well and have such great overhead smashes. But if you're playing someone who doesn't get back for high balls really well, or doesn't have a great overhead, a lob on a third shot can be a good choice, especially if you're in trouble off their return of serve. Okay, let's talk about the fourth shot. You've returned serve, you've come to the net. You better expect a passing shot attempt and be ready to move quick. If you're right, there's probably a good chance to play a volley to the open court. This might be a volley that you hit to the midcourt, or it could be a drop volley near the net. Either way, hitting away from your opponent is a great chance to make them run. If your opponent decides not to drive the ball with their third shot, but instead plays a drop, you're still going to want to make them move. The difference is, it'll probably be with a dink to one sideline or another. And now you've got a dinking battle going on. Move your opponents around until they miss, or give you something high to pounce on. So that's pretty much the essence of singles. Use your serve and return to try to gain an advantage. Attack the third shot if you can, and drop it if you can't. Above all else, work on making your opponent move before they hit their shots. Physically, singles is a little more demanding than doubles. So don't be surprised if you can't last quite as long on the court, or if you feel more sore than usual the next day. But I think you'll find if you apply the tactics we talked about here in this video, you can have a lot of fun playing one-on-one. Alright, thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see the other ones. Thanks, as always, to our very good friends at Selkirk Sport. They make amazing pickleball paddles and are great on the singles court as well.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you next time.